What's up, my beautiful sisters and brothers? It's your girl, Dr. Shonna. I wanted to come on just to share my experience that I had in Whole Foods today. It was such an experience, but I am proud of myself. I didn't say anything too reckless. I didn't say anything too crazy, but I had to let a chick know. I had to let him know. Yes, I did. But this experience has really taught me something that I already knew. So you know how you have this information, you already know the stuff, you already have all the research, you have all the facts, you know it exists, but you try to create for yourself your own little world and your own little bubble. And you tell yourself a lot of trickery things, right? You tell yourself a lot of trickery things like, as long as I treat other people with respect, they're going to treat me with respect. As long as I operate in love, people will receive me and they will treat me with love. This is the stuff that a lot of us tell ourselves. And this is some good stuff, right? It's some good stuff. And for the most part, I do live my life that way for the most part. But I'm also rooted in reality, right? I'm also aware of me only controlling me and not being able to control what happens around me, right? And what I can do is control how I respond to what happens around me. But whatever's going to happen because of somebody else's ill spirit or ill will is just going to happen. So this experience today that I had told me a lot. It told me a lot. But most importantly, it told me that we have to get our own. And I know we be saying this all the time, but I really want to emphasize that in today's lesson, how important it is for us to have our own everything. We really have to produce our own because these people are not going to treat us with respect or see us as equal because they are sick. I am convinced that many of these people are sick. Their DNA is not like my DNA, and I'm okay with that. All right, let me tell you guys what happened. So I went to Whole Foods today with my 5-year-old son, and I went specifically to pick up 3 items, just 3 items, in and out. I saw a sister at her cash register and I said, sis, are you open? She said, come on through. So I come and I put my 3 out items on a conveyor belt. She rings them up. Another woman, y'all already know what woman I'm talking about. I ain't got to say the kind of woman. Y'all already know what kind of woman I'm talking about. It's not a human. I'll tell you that much. She was definitely not a damn human. But you got to be inhumane and you got to be alien to do some of the things that some of these people do. So she wasn't a human. She was on a line behind me. And she started to put her stuff on a conveyor belt as well. Now, my son, a 5-year-old, just being a 5-year-old, before I can even tell him, please don't touch that, he starts to take her items that is behind us and he started to line them up with her items neatly. Because that's what he does. He took her yogurt and he was trying to line them up to match the eggs. And she starts taking the yogurt, not out of his hand, because if she would have took anything out of his hand, we won't be here having a conversation. Y'all would have saw me live streaming as the police were coming, right? So she starts taking the yogurt forcefully and putting it back in the spots as to say, don't touch my items. And I said, Sage, please stop touching her stuff because you already know how I am. And the register, the lady at the cash register, the sister said to me, and we already know how they are. Now the lady's standing right there. So I said, please stop touching the stuff because you already know how I am. And the sister says, and we already know how they are. And I said, oh, absolutely. We know how they are. But what they don't know is how I am because this is not 1862. They don't know how I am. And I'd rather him not touch anything so that I won't have to lay anybody out. And she turned around, she looked at me, and she had this face like, oh, how dare you? She had that kind of face on. I said, you have a blessed day, sister. I took my bag, and I had to give Sage his little talk when we got to the car about touching items, right? But something dawned on me that she did not see my son as a child. as a little boy, let me tell y'all something. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me, but let me say this. When I go to supermarkets, I see little Bobby, Rebecca, Layla, Jimmy, Richard. I see all of them touching stuff, running around the supermarket. I've had little kids kicking me in the back, and I would turn around and I will engage with the children softly, right? Hi, little man. Do you like kicking me? Is it nice to kick people? And I will talk to them nicely and respectfully, right? If they were touching stuff, I would just engage them because they're children and children explore. I myself would get down to a child's level and I will engage them and I will talk to them. And I would just say, Mom, he seems to be very active, or she's very inquisitive. I would say these things. Oh, Bo, no, 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 not our children. Instead, she decided to let me know with her actions that it is not okay for my son to touch her items on a conveyor belt. And not that I'm saying my son should be touching everything, but I'm saying my son is 5 years old. And that's what 5-year-olds do. And it's just a matter of soft correction and redirection that makes all the difference. But she was not able to do that. And so I said to myself, it's a problem that I have to go into their supermarket to buy my food. Whether it's Whole Foods, whether it's Trader Joe's, whether it's ShopRite, whether it's Acme, whether it's Piggly Wiggly's, I don't care. It is a problem that I have to go into their store to buy my food where they will not see us as human. When they are the ones that are alien. Now, am I saying everybody? I'm not saying everybody. I'll be a fool to say everybody. I'm not saying everybody. But in her case, she truly wasn't human. In her case. I took notes. And I came back and I said, here it is. We are dependent on white Americans to provide us with so much. To provide us with food. To provide us with clothing, shelter, transportation, healthcare, employment, and educational training. We depend on them for these things. And I said, what a weak position to be in. Because at any given time, they can let us know we are not welcome in their spaces. At any given time. And there are a lot of them that let us know when we are not welcome in their spaces. But here's the thing. When they let us know that we are not welcome in their spaces, what do we do? What do we do? We automatically start getting upset. We scream bloody murder, discrimination. We want to let everyone on social media know. We want to go live about this mother effort's about to check my account, my card, thinking I stole something. You see what they got me doing? We get so upset and so enraged, and we say you're discriminating against us constantly. And what I don't understand psychologically, I'm not saying that their treatment should be ignored and we have to say it is what it is. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying when we're constantly in their spaces, when we're constantly dependent on them for our survival, what do we expect to happen? Many of us do not mass produce our own clothing. Listen to what I just said. Many of us do not mass produce our own clothing. But let Macy have a sale. We'll be up in there, wanting everything on the rack that they wear. And if somebody treats us with the littlest sign of disrespect, we have a heart attack. But we in their store, dying to get their clothes. We go to their restaurants, and the minute The minute we feel that they are disrespecting us, we cry discrimination and bloody murder, but we are in their house. We have to stop producing generations of people that depend on them for their survival. What is your blueprint? What is your strategy? We've got to stop depending on these people because they treat us like crap. And we always get mad. Bloody murder, discrimination. Don't do this to us. We're human. We deserve respect. Nobody respects any nation of people who cannot take care of themselves. So y'all going to have to write this down because I'm going to go over the three things. The three things right now. The three things right now that we have to examine as the causes to our division. Just three things. Just three things. The first thing is conditioning. Right? I'm going to talk about that. Conditioning. The second thing is our lack of knowledge of self. And the last thing that many people don't want to hear, but this is one of the greatest dividers of us all, and it is religion. Religion. So conditioning. Here's the reality that we have to bring ourselves to a place where we can accept it as true and then change it. See, you can't change anything you cannot see. You cannot change anything that you are not aware exists. You cannot change anything if you are not conscious. We got a lot of fake conscious folks walking around here talking about how they conscious this, conscious that, because they read a couple of books from our elders, right? They read a couple of books from our ancestors, and now they think they're enlightened. They think they have all this consciousness, but they're not doing anything with it. You are not conscious, my sisters and brothers, if you do not do anything to uplift your people as a whole around the globe. You do not do anything to uplift them. You are not conscious, right? One thing that we have to break free of when it comes to conditioning is the fact that we were intentionally made dependent. And we have blindly, due to being asleep, have gotten ourselves into an automated system where we have accepted this dependency and we live it every day, not conscious of it, not aware of how we are complicit to this system. But the conditioning is real. I am not going back on with the lesson that has passed down to us from slavery to current days. You guys have already know it. You already know it because we talk about this all the time. But we are conditioned to depend on them. The only way this world works is if there is a people that are dependent on them. And the reason why we do not accept the reality and the truth of our condition is because we lack the knowledge of self. We lack the knowledge of self. That is number two. We have been told lies about who we are, and we accept the lies. And every time we believe something other than what is true, we dig ourselves another layer deeper into the madness that they have created for us. And it keeps us dependent on them. Your liberty comes through your knowledge of self. Your liberty comes from your consciousness. Your liberty comes from your awareness. Right? So when we talk about knowledge of self, the reason why many of us don't even know who we are, because we're reading books. We're reading books of others before we read our own. And the last thing we're going to go over is religion. The last thing we're going to go over is religion. Because religion is another reason why we have division amongst us. See, you might not want to wake up. Now, am I going on to some big history and telling you everything you believe is a lie? No, I'm not. I'm not doing anything like that. But the religion is a part of the Black family blueprint. You got to examine that. You got to examine, you got to be able to sit back and think critically and see what I'm holding on to. How much of myself do I see in it? And what I'm holding on to, do I see myself in it? Do I see myself in the stories? When we talk about the Hebrews, when we talk about the Hebrews, when we talk about the Hebrews, do I see myself as a Hebrew? You got to have knowledge of self to first recognize that. When it talks about the chosen people, do I see myself as a chosen person? See, the stories all add up to who the chosen people are. The stories all add up to who the chosen people are. The stories all add up. But if you can't see yourself in it, why are you holding on to that religion?